being stern on how you feel and what you're comfortable with is also a sign of confidence. Don't feel like you need other people's validation, and that's putting other people before you. We have to understand that social media is not real. People only post what they want you to see. People are posting their best pictures. Real friends do respect your time and space, and they don't make you feel guilty for putting yourself first. I think it's important to surround yourself, or at least try to find a friend that's kind of like-minded. People are drawn to confidence and not perfection. It might not even be that they're perfect. They're just confident in who they are, and I feel like that's so much more important than being perfect. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're gonna be doing a things I wish I knew before my 20s. So I've been wanting to do this video for a while, and I would always think like, who am I to give advice? But I really wanted to make sure that like the topics that I highlighted, like I've gone through enough and I've experienced enough to give like genuine advice and then be confident about it. So here are a few things that I wish I knew before my 20s, and they're in no particular order, but I have a few things written down, so I wanted to talk about them, and let's get right into this video. So the first thing is finding yourself in your true passion. Okay, I think when we're kids and when we're children, our family and the people around us, whether that be family or friends, peers, whatever, it's almost like they assigned you a personality. Like growing up, you know, I'm a fire sign, I'm a Sagittarius, so I was known as like the fiery kid, the one that, you know, got active, like, I guess like a little aggressive, extremely free-spirited, but I don't know, like I kind of had like this preconceived like personality trait that my family put onto me. So growing up, I would think that I have to live up to that personality trait that these people or my family have put onto me, until I realized that like the more I grew into myself and try to discover who I am and who I want to be, it's okay to not be that person. If you don't want to be that person, it's okay. Like it's okay to change and switch up and rebrand, because at the end of the day, they say that people change every 7 years. It's okay to not be that person I was when I was 10. I think a big part of finding yourself is maybe letting go of like old traits of yourself, because it's okay to like let go of that, and it's okay to grow and change. And that's not to knock who you once were. It's okay to embrace who you were in the past, but it's okay to be different. I think a part of growing into yourself is letting go of who you once were, whether that be you just growing into a more confident person, or even just letting go of bad traits. Because sometimes when we even make mistakes in life early on, we're kind of subjected to being that one person when that's not always the case, you know. I do think growth is a real thing. So a part of you finding yourself is letting go of old parts of yourself, which I think is important. The second part of this question or this prompt is finding yourself and your true passion. When it comes to finding your true passion, I used to kind of envy people who kind of knew their calling early on. They knew that they were destined to be a basketball player or play sports. So from a young age, they did that one thing, and that's kind of what their life calling is, right? Or like a person who kind of found their niche and stuck to it, and that's what they do. I used to envy people like that, because when I was a kid, I liked to do so many things that it kind of became a little bit overwhelming. At one point, I genuinely didn't know like what my calling is, what my true passion is. But I think that, you know, at this age, when you're young, it's okay. There's so much pressure on us to know like what it is we want to do. What career path do you want to do? What are you good at? And when you don't have it figured out, it's pretty like intimidating, you know, especially when you see people around you that, you know, that know. It's okay to not know. And I think a good way to try to figure out what you may want to do, what you're good at, is trying new things. So if you don't know what you want to do in life, or you don't know what your passion is, try new hobbies. I encourage people to try new things. If you've never taken a pottery class, go take that pottery class. If you wanted to dance, go dancing. You know what I mean? Trying new things is extremely important, and experiencing at this age is important, because you know, you never want to look back at something and be like, dang, like I wish I did that. Try it all. And I do think eventually something will stick, and that's a part of, you know, your 20s, is to try to figure out what you want to do. and what your passion is. But I think trying new things will definitely help you or guide you along the path to finding what your passion is. Because I don't think anyone just doesn't have a passion. It's definitely an experience, something that won't come overnight. I don't think it's something that you wake up and then it's like, wow, I found myself. It's definitely an experience, and it takes time, it takes growth, it takes letting go of old parts of yourself, surrounding yourself by new people. The closer we become to finding our true self. The next topic we're going to discuss is friendships. Okay, so I moved from a small city to a big city at such a transitional period of my life when I was like smack dab in the middle of high school. And one thing that I've learned from that is when it comes to friends, quality over quantity is extremely important. Because I would see people with such big friend groups and be a little bit intimidated, like, dang, like, you know, I would think, and it would make me kind of like question myself, like, because, you know, in 10th, 11th grade, most people already established their friendships. They've known people since elementary school, middle school. But I've learned that quality over quantity is a very important thing. It's better to have a few solid friends, a few friends that you know got your back, you know who aren't jealous or envy of you, who want to see you win, than having a bunch of friends and you don't know who like secretly don't like you. Because that, you know, it takes one snake in the bunch to really like mess up something great. Quality over quantity is important, and I think it's safer that way. It's nice to know that, you know, the two, three, or maybe even just the one friend you have is solid, instead of having, you know, 4 friends, 5, 10, and focusing on friendships that feel natural and not forced. And I feel like that's really how I've made my friends. I'm super grateful for the people I've met and the people who I felt that natural connection with. I feel like for me, that's like the only way I can make friends. When it feels extremely forced, I just like, I can't do it. And the person can be sweet, you know what I mean? I've met a lot of sweet people, people that seem genuine, but if like I don't have that initial like natural connection off rip, I just can't force myself to be friends or to make it. Don't ever force it, because when you force it, you know, that's not a good thing. So definitely pay attention to the people that you click with naturally. I do feel like it's important to pay attention to how a person makes you feel. If you feel like a person is like draining your energy, maybe they're putting you into a lot of drama, or maybe if you feel like they're just not a solid person, like if they're making you feel a little drained or a little like they judging you, bye. Like, and it's okay. Like if you feel like you know you're just not aligning with the person that's already your friend, it's okay to kind of fall back. I do feel like communication is important, just as it is in a relationship. And one thing about me is I'm kind of a low maintenance friend. I'm not really the type of friend that you need to speak to every single day. And I feel like if you're one of those people, it's okay. Because sometimes in friendships, some people will make you feel like you need to speak to them or talk to them or give them attention every day. And unfortunately, that's just not me. I don't like, and not to say that I can go days without talking to my friend. That's not necessarily true. But, you know, I can go like a week straight with talking to you, and then I might go like 2 days without talking to you, and that is okay. I feel like those people who understand that and respect that are really the ones that you know are your friends. If you can go like a couple of days, and we're not talking a couple of weeks or months, but if you can go a couple of days without talking to someone and then rekindle like naturally, you know that's a real friend. Because I've lost a friend because I just wasn't as attentive as they wanted me to be. And this isn't to say that I didn't have communication, because I've had the communication. I've expressed that, you know, I'm busy, or I can't really accommodate because of these circumstances, or that I'm just not available, you know. And I've lost a couple friends because I'm just not high maintenance like that. It's okay if you go a couple of days without speaking to me. That is fine. Real friends do respect your time and space, and they don't make you feel guilty for putting yourself first, you know, if that's what you need. I think it's important to surround yourself, or at least try to find a friend that's kind of like-minded. And lastly, it is okay to outgrow people. I've outgrown a couple friends throughout the years, and for me, it's no bad blood. I've had friends that I was friends with for a while, and then we've outgrown each other, and I think that's okay, because when we're this young, you know, life can tend to like trickle out and do its thing. So I just think that the friends that I have outgrown or who've outgrown me just had a different path in life. People go down different journeys and routes than you, so it's to be expected that at this age, you know, we outgrow friends, and that's okay, because when you outgrow those people who either don't value you or who don't respect your boundaries or who just don't align with you anymore, that leaves room to meet new people and for new people. That's my advice on friendships. Our next topic is mental health. So our teen years and early 20s, mental health tends to get a little overlooked. You know, we're constantly like on this grind, and life tends to just happen to us, even if it feels like it's against our will. There's so many things that may contribute to your mental health that may make it decline, make you depressed. You might feel burnt out from school, a job, trying to save money. When we're experiencing like these low periods in our life where we feel depressed, I think the first thing is to pinpoint what exactly is making you depressed. For me, recently it was a job. I was feeling extremely burnt out because I was working a job that I was extremely miserable at. I wasn't around like-minded individuals. People were really mean. Higher ups were extremely mean to me, and it definitely took a toll on my mental health and just made it decline. Because prior to that job, I wasn't really depressed. I didn't really feel, if anything, I was extremely ambitious. I wanted to find a job, save up money, do this, buy a car, and I did. But in the process, like, I just started to feel so burnt out and depressed. So I think the first step when you do feel like, you know, your mental health is declining is to figure out what exactly is making it decline, right? If it's a job, bye. I know that's so easier said than done, but I think at this age, taking risks in you know, leaving a job or leaving a friendship or whatever the case may be at this age, especially if it's something that is so like doesn't need to be in your life, get rid of it. I genuinely feel that way. Like, if it's a relationship that's causing your mental health to drain, it's not for you. If it's a friendship that's causing your mental health to decline, bye. I think it's important to just take a step back from whatever it is and prioritize your mental health. Prioritize you. Coping mechanisms for me would be to rekindle with things that made me feel good. I used to love journaling. So I went out, I brought this journal, and I started journaling again. I like to read. I feel like sometimes our phone and our devices can contribute to our mental health when you're constantly consuming so much information or comparing yourself to other people. When I'm feeling like a little depressed, or not even depressed, but just burnt out, or when I feel like I just really need to take a beat, I start to read again because I like reading. So I buy like a lot of self-help books. This is a book, it's called Journey to the Heart, and it's basically whatever date it is, you'll turn to that date and you'll just read like what advice or what, you know, the author has to say for that date. So today is March 17th. So let's flip to March 17th. Sometimes it's crazy because sometimes I'll skip a few days and then I'll get this urge like, let me pick up my book and let me read, and it's crazy how it'll align to like what I need to hear. But today is March 17th. This says, cherish hope. Our hearts, our souls need a good glimpse of it every so often just to keep us going. Even though sometimes we can't have what we want, we can be open to seeing its light shining unexpectedly in another direction, like the small town that caught my eye. Cherish hope. It adds buoyancy to the spirit, lightness to the day. See, basically, if you're feeling a little depressed, books like this would definitely remind you about hope, which I think is important. It might sound a little cliche, but I do think that it genuinely might be something that you need to hear in that moment. One thing that I recommend for everybody is to get in the gym. Get in the gym, get active, run outside. Springtime is so close and I'm so excited about that, but the earth is starting to come back alive. The sun is setting at 7 p.m. instead of 5. So I'm so excited. I do feel like, you know, that winter depression period is over, and when spring and summertime is here, I feel so alive, alive with the earth. So I do feel like getting outside, exercising, going to the gym can definitely help your mental health and help your confidence. And, you know, at the end of the day, I also think that it's okay to not be okay. You don't have to have everything figured out, especially at this age. It's unrealistic to have everything figured out in your 20s and teenage years. So feeling sad, anxious, and overwhelmed doesn't mean that you're necessarily weak, but trying to find those coping mechanisms is extremely important. And it doesn't have to be, you know, you're journaling 7 times a day and then you're going to the gym, but just find something that makes you feel better and just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. The next thing I would like to discuss is the power of saying no. When we tend to people please so much, ultimately we end up being the ones that feel empty or drained. And I can think of so many scenarios that I don't want to get too deep into, but just understanding that no means no. Setting your boundaries and not being too much of a people pleaser. Respecting yourself enough to say no when it's needed is extremely important. And most of the times you don't need to explain yourself. Even if it's something so goofy like, I don't feel like it. Saying no and being stern on how you feel and what you're comfortable with is also a sign of confidence. Don't feel like you need other people's validation, and that's putting other people before you. Have y'all ever said yes about going out, and then while you're out, it's like, ugh, I should have said no? I've learned that no is a complete sentence. It can be a complete sentence. You don't have to explain yourself when the answer is no, especially when it comes to men. I think it's important, and this is also for my younger audience. If you feel like you're not comfortable with a person's advances or hanging around a person or whatever the case may be, I don't care what it is, the answer is no, period. Even if it's like you want to say yes, but a part of you feels like, the answer is no. And you don't have to explain, don't feel like you have to explain yourself to anybody. If a person's making you feel uncomfortable for saying no, for whatever the case may be, then that person should not be around you, which is my advice. So yes, no is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain why you said no, even if it doesn't make sense to you. Even if it's just a hunch or a feeling like, this isn't right. Your ability to set your boundaries is something that you should never just toss away, and use it. Let's talk about taking risks. I feel like I have so much advice to give about taking risks, and I don't really want to read from my notes. I really kind of want to like just wing this one because I want to speak about my personal experience. I do feel like this is the age, because I'm 22 now, whether you're 17, whatever, this is the time to start taking risks. I do feel like your 20s are the times to start taking risks. I recently just quit my job because it wasn't for me. I wasn't feeling it. And that's a risk, you know what I mean? Doing stuff like that is a risk, but I feel like at your 20s, you don't have to settle for anything. If it's something that you don't want to do, we don't have to settle. I recently just started a makeup business. I don't have too much clientele, but it's about taking a risk. I feel like if there's something that you always wanted to do, start a business. If you wanted to do nails, do hair, if you want to do makeup like me, start a business. Invest in yourself the same way that you invest in getting up for school, getting up for work, being there on time. Take that same effort and invest in yourself and put it into yourself. Believe in yourself, and taking that risk is so important in your 20s or in your teenage years, because you know you might not have that ability to take that risk when you're older. I hear a lot of stories about people who are like older people who regret not taking that risk because they just never did it. So I think it's important to at least try, even if you feel like whatever it is you're doing may not take off, it might not work. The most you can do is put it out there and try. If you want to be a content creator, the first step is putting your work out there, putting yourself out there, and putting yourself in those spaces that you want to be, aligning yourself with those people. And so like the ripe age of like 16, I really wanted to move out of my hometown and just be around more opportunity. So I took that risk and I just moved to a city I didn't even know anybody. And to this day, I feel like that's definitely one of the best decisions I've ever made. Even making a YouTube channel, it's something that I always talked about when I was younger, but I would always kind of make excuses for myself. You know, when we're young, we don't have a lot of ties to people. We don't have a lot of ties to places. Most of us don't have kids. We don't have a mortgage. We don't have a husband or a wife. So when you're in your 20s, it's definitely the time to take risks. I'm still grateful for starting. I'm grateful for starting my makeup business. Is it the best? Do I have the clientele? Not yet. But because I started, because I put myself out there, you know, it's inevitable. It's definitely a possibility, and those possibilities, like once you take those risks, you allow those possibilities to be real. I encourage people who are younger or my age or even older to continue to do that and continue to chase your passions and invest in yourself. Yeah. Our last talking point is the myth of perfection. So, perfection is a myth, perfection is an illusion. Nobody is perfect, not an influencer, not these big celebrities. Everybody has flaws, and people may seem, especially on social media, people may seem like they have it all figured out, they have it all together, and it's just not the reality. We tend to hinder ourselves and not take those risks because of perfection. We're waiting until we can film the perfect YouTube video. Let me tell you, my first YouTube video was terrible. I think I didn't have like the good equipment, so I think my face was like this close to the camera. It was terrible. The audio sucked. Like everything was so bad. Like, but it really does take trial and error. Like making those mistakes and putting yourself out there equates to growth, because it was nice to see, like with every video I made, how I was able to tweak what I've learned from those mistakes. What I've learned, like, okay, well, it's not perfect, but I can tweak this, I can tweak that until eventually, you know, you get better at something. Trying to be perfect can be exhausting. We're constantly trying to perfect how we look, how we're perceived online, what we wear, constantly trying to perfect our editing, our videos, and holding ourselves back until we feel like we perfected it. I feel like it's exhausting. I think for me, when I look at the movies and films about the obsession of perfection, like we see how the thought of wanting to be perfect can deteriorate like your entire being, because essentially you're just chasing an illusion. It's not real. What we need to prioritize is confidence. People are drawn to confidence and not perfection, and I think, you know, we kind of get that confused when we see people online. It might not even be that they're perfect, they're just confident in who they are, and I feel like that's so much more important than being perfect. I think when we move in life and navigate in life with more confidence, instead of like critiquing ourselves constantly, life can be a bit more peaceful. It's not draining. You're not constantly critiquing yourself because you want to look this way. Because I also think perfection is not only an illusion, but it's also extremely subjective. What I might deem as perfect might not be perfect to the other person. So I genuinely feel like it's all about confidence and being content in your work and being content in who you are as a person, how you look, and taking the steps to feel more content in yourself. If you feel like you're underweight or you want to gain weight, go to the gym. We have to understand that social media is not real. We might think that it's real, but people only post what they want you to see. People are posting their best pictures. Most of the time people have filters on, or even me, I have makeup on right now. You have to understand that social media is not real. Most of the things that we're constantly consuming as consumers and as people who have such this crazy access to the internet and celebrities, it's not all real. And at the end of the day, perfection is boring. You don't ever want to just be like everybody else. You don't want to look like every other influencer, every other celebrity. I feel like uniqueness, your own personal style, or even if you have like features on your face that are different, I feel like it's important to embrace those qualities and embrace your uniqueness and you know, embrace what makes you stand out, and just being yourself. because some of the most successful people were once deemed or seen as different or imperfect, but that's what made them special. Like, you're special because you're not like everybody else. You're not like every other influencer. I tend to gravitate towards people who offer a different like aspect or look different or dress different. I feel like those are the people that truly draw me in, and the people who are confident in what they do. I hope you guys took some useful information out of this video and apply it to your lives. If you guys would like to see another video like this, I'd be more than happy to talk about some more topics. Yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.